Hey guys, Carl from Vertimus Plays. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the 18-card legacy game, Wildtails, a pirate legacy, from designers Dustin, Dobson, and Milan Zivkovic, and publisher Button Shy Games. Dustin and Milan are definitely a group of names that I've covered a lot of their stuff before that I'm really interested in seeing the new games that they put out. And this is part of a contest that Button Shy ran to try and make an 18-card legacy game. And I tend to be a big fan of legacy games. Tend to be a big fan of these designers, so I'm really interested to see how a legacy game can be done with only 18 cards and what these designers are going to do with that legacy idea. So I was very excited to get a chance to try this one out. Luckily, I was able to receive a review copy of this from the publisher. So disclaimer, this was based on a review copy sent from the publisher, but as always, I will do my best to give you my own honest opinion on the game. With all that said, let's head down to the table to see how this game plays, and then I'll meet you back up here to let you know what I think. Before we begin setup for Wildtails, a Pirate Legacy, I just want to remind you again that this is a legacy game, which means it is a campaign game that will be having permanent alterations, changes, and additions to things and components through the gameplay as we work our way through the campaign. And for this playthrough, I do want to focus just on Chapter 1 to avoid giving as many spoilers for the game as possible. In addition, because this is a Button Shy game and sort of has a very small footprint as far as the game's packaging is concerned, the campaign piece is not included in the game packaging itself, but instead you'll see that in the rules for the game, there is a QR code here that scans and will take you to a website for the game that does provide the sort of campaign pieces and the story as you play through the game. So I'm going to go ahead right now and load up that website. And you'll see here's that website. I'm going to click Start Campaign. And we begin. Prologue, 1813. America is at war with Britain. The unstable political and economic climate encourages rampant piracy throughout the Gulf of Mexico. Spies and saboteurs on both sides of the war use the pirates to gain information and smuggle important assets. Ratuga Bay, a pirate empire, flourishes just outside of New Orleans. Teeming with roguish rodents, reptilian mercenaries, and scoundrels of all kinds, Ratuga's treacherous bay provides the perfect location to harbor captured ships, while its hidden tributaries are ideal for smuggling contraband into the city. As up-and-coming smugglers into the New Orleans underground, you're always on the lookout for opportunities to expand your business. Tonight, you head to Coquette's, a seedy dance hall in one of the city's roughest neighborhoods. Amid the thumping two-steps at Coquette's, you strike up a conversation with the renowned Lafayette brothers, Sly Jean and Ruthless Pierre. These twin rats hold great power in Ratuga Bay. Your boldness pays off with a job. John unravels a worn map and points out the location of an old, mostly destroyed stronghold on a small island in Ratuga. It says, when you're ready, start the campaign. So you'll see here it's going to unlock cards from the cards in the sort of wallet that comes in the wallet that this game comes in. And it says I've unlocked two new characters, Anna and Samuel, and I've unlocked the stronghold side of the Empire card. So first, here are the two character cards. And you'll see already that I've colored in this little circle right here. This is a lock symbol, and every time we unlock cards in this game, we will fill that in to know that we already have those cards available to us. I have played through the prologue a few times just so I can get into the game and make sure that I'm showing you a good play of the game. So we're going to set those two characters down here. We will adjust things as far as positioning is concerned as we get into the rest of the gameplay, but we've got those two cards, and we've just also unlocked the stronghold side of the Empire card, so I'm going to place that down here again. You'll see that I have already filled in that dot at the bottom. Then, getting back into the app, it says when you're ready, continue your adventure. I'm going to click that, go to Chapter 1. So here we go. Chapter 1, Ratuga Bay Hideout. A band of rogue pirates plan to raid the munition supply of one of the Lafayette's hideouts near the stronghold ruins. Impressed by your previous work, the Lafayettes ask you to defend the hideout and defeat the raiders. In exchange, they offer to let you set up your smuggling operation right in the heart of Ratuga Bay. Provided, of course, that you still do the occasional favor for them once you're up and running. So we've got scenario 1 set up here. It says we've got one threat, which are the raiders for this game, and they start with 0 captured cards. And then we've got 2 objectives, the hideout and the explosives. So to finish setup for the game, we're going to take that Raiders card and set that up here off to the side. And that's going to sort of be the big bad of this scenario. And then we've got our 2 campaign objectives for this scenario, the hideout and the explosives. So we'll set those right over here. Then we're going to take the rest of those scenario cards, which will be future objectives and sort of threat or bad guys. But on the other side are these sort of scenes. So we're going to take them with the scene side up, give those a good shuffle, and we'll place those right here in the middle of the play area, like that. And then finally, the complete setup, we've got this sort of Pirate's Log card that's going to keep track of rounds. It's going to have a nice player aid right here, and this is going to explain all of the symbols that are going to pop up during gameplay. And we're going to set that so that this round marker right here is lined up with the 1 on the threat card to show that it is now round 1. And with that, we are done setup for the first scenario. The Wildtails Pirate Legacy will play out over a series of 7 rounds. And by the end of the 7 rounds, I need to have completed both objectives and defeated the threat. But I cannot defeat the threat until I've already completed both of these objectives completely. In addition, at any point during that gameplay, if the threat card has managed to capture 5 cards behind it, or I don't have any cards left here at the end of a round, the game will also immediately end in a loss. So during our turn, we're going to sort of follow the turn sequence as written here. I'm not sure if you can see it on screen from that far away, but I will just walk through it. Step 1, it says we're going to check for the crisis effect. What that means is we're going to look at the colored icon right here in the top right corner of the current scene, and we're going to compare that with the colored icons over here on the round tracker. And then we're going to look at any symbols above them that match on the threat card and do whatever that symbol triggers. Now in the first round, none of them line up because they're all off to the left side of the card, so we won't be checking that to start, but as soon as we get into the second round of the game, we will be checking that at the start of every turn. And when I say turn, I mean that we're going to be alternating back and forth between our 2 characters, and at the start of each of their turns, we will check that top card. And then after we've checked the top card and done whatever needs to be triggered based on the icon we see, we will then move into our action phase. And we're going to take one of 4 different actions. The first action we can do is we can complete a scene card. So if you look at the scene card, each scene offers 4 choices that we can do. The top choice is always going to be free and it'll instantly give us whatever it shows there. The other choices, the first 2 of those, will require us to spend a specific resource in order to get whatever shows to the right of that. And the bottom one here is going to require a skill test that will get us that if we are successful. And I'll explain how skill tests work a little bit later because we'll also be using that to attack the threat. But again, regardless of which one we do, if we are successful, if we spend the resources, or if we take the top choice, we're going to take the card and slot it in behind our character, showing whichever of those resources we've received from that card. The next option for an action is to gain 1 objective level. So each of these objectives has a sort of trigger down here that needs to be spent in resources in order to successfully trigger that objective, and we need to have done that 4 times in order to complete the objective. Now right now, none of the objectives have been assigned to any of our characters, but as soon as a character completes the objective for the first time, we're going to line up the cards so that this banner right here lines up with a number on their card. So the first time lining up with 1, second time lining up with 2, 3, 4, until we've completed the objective. But once we have the objective attached to that character, only that character may continue to work on that objective, and each character can only ever have 1 objective connected to them. And then as they successfully complete the objective, they're going to be unlocking these sort of boosts or abilities that are printed on the objective card itself. So if you see an icon like this, it means it's adding 1 to whatever their level is in that particular skill, or 2 in this case with a 2 next to the feather. If you see a resource with a little star next to it, that means a permanent resource that I can spend once per round automatically without having a card in my sort of hand or in behind my character card. And this last icon simply means the objective has been completed. And again, we need to complete both of these objectives before we can take out the threat. The third action is attacking the threat. Now, if we attack the threat and we're successful after completing both objectives, we will have won the scenario. But we can also attack the threat at any point before completing the objectives, simply to sort of recover any of the cards that it has captured moving through the game. Because again, if they have 5 captured cards, we instantly lose the game. But also those captured cards are coming from here, and if these ever completely go away, we also lose the game. So we need to make sure that we're bringing cards back when they start piling up over there, and we're going to do that by attacking the threat. And the way that works is the same way that we're going to be testing those skills on the cards that I mentioned. And in order to do that, we're going to first find a skill that matches whatever we're testing, be it that skill check down here or the skill check printed on the threat for attack, in this case the mask. And we're going to slide the first scene card down, showing this sort of banner and symbol on the next card. And the first thing we'll do is check to see if the color of this symbol matches the color on the next card, and if it does, that's an instant fail. But if it doesn't, we will then add whatever the number is on the banner of the revealed card, plus whatever the skill value that that character already has, plus any abilities or boosts that came from the objective card. And if that total number is at least that same number of the skill that we're checking or higher, we will have successfully done whatever it is that we're attempting to do. Now you'll see that this Raiders has a 5 mask symbol, but it says that there's +1 per card captured. So the more cards that are captured, the harder it will be to defeat that card. And we do need to defeat that card to get cards back into our pile, but also to ultimately win the scenario. And the fourth possible action on a turn is simply to discard the top card of this deck. And the reason we might do that is because if there's a symbol here that we don't want there anymore, but we don't have any need to have that card here, we can simply discard it. Or if we don't want this card at all and we want to get to the next card below it, again, we can simply discard it. Because remember, this is also our sort of timer. This is what's going to be available to us in the next round. And the more cards we have in our personal sort of inventory, the less cards are going to be here. So it's not worth it just to take a card unless we really need to have that card working towards something that we're working towards. In addition to our regular actions, we can also at any time store resources in the stronghold. And what that means is any resource we have in a personal inventory can be instead transferred and placed inside the stronghold. The stronghold can store up to 3 different resource cards. And once they are in there, both of our starting characters have a special ability that can be used at any time during their turn, or actually on any turn, means the opposite character as well, to spend 1 resource from their own inventory to take a card from the stronghold into their own inventory. So basically, we're spending something to retrieve things that have been stored in the stronghold. And we might do that because we might have a character who takes a card that's better used by the other character, and they can simply store it there to be retrieved for later. And that can be done as many times as you want to on any turn, so long as you have resources to spend to pull those cards out. And you'll see how all that plays out as we get into gameplay. And then finally, we're going to simply check to see if it's the end of the round. And that means if there are no longer any cards here, that will be the end of the round. We'll then shuffle the discard pile. We'll place 1 card as captured at the start of the next round, advance the round tracker, and place the rest of the cards in here to continue on with the round. So that's basically it, at least for this first scenario, as for how the game plays. So let's go ahead and get into gameplay. Now the first thing I do want to do is I want to take a look at these objectives, see what kind of options they give me, and then see what I can do to sort of do this, but also ultimately to fight the Raider. And I see that they're going to take 5 masks plus 1 card per captured. So I want to boost up my mask skill as much as possible. I see this one adds +1, this one adds +2. If I had +1 here, I get a 5, and a +2 here gets me a 5, which would be great for them both to have the ability to fight well. But if I get this +2 down here, she gets a +6, which means I automatically succeed unless I get an auto fail against the Raider by itself and or with 1 captured card. So that makes it a lot more likely that I will succeed on every attack if possible. So I'm going to try and get the explosives to Anna and the hideout over here to Samuel. So we are going to go ahead and get started with Anna. And Anna does want to have coins, lots of coins, and a couple of swords in order to start activating these. And again, I'm not checking these symbols yet because none of them match, so I don't need to do that. So her turn, she's simply going to train the crew to fight at this location to take those swords and place them behind a card like that. Now, we've got 2 coins. He doesn't need coins for this mission, and she needs lots of coins. But he has nothing to spend or nothing special to do right now, except he could discard that card, which is useless. So he is going to take that because it's important for her. But instead of slotting it here, he is going to put it into the stronghold. All right, back to Anna. She's got a bunch of barrels, which don't really do much for her, except that she could use them to retrieve things later. So she'll steal the ship's goods, getting those barrels. Hold on. Maybe not. If she spends a sword, she gets 3 coins, which is almost what she needs for that, plus 1 sword. Now, granted, she's losing the sword to get that, but these 2 coins won't be good enough, and she doesn't need the barrel, so I am going to do that. Discard the sword to trade with the privateers, getting me 3 coins, which slots those 3 coins in like that. He will need 1 barrel for these hideouts, so he's just going to take that barrel card, confiscating the cargo from that ship. All right, next. She doesn't need any coins. That is a coin. Now, the point is, I can't spend small amounts of things to do stuff. I have to spend an entire card and then use those resources as needed. But I'm not going to spend this 3 coins to take 2 coins and 1 coin, because that's 2 cards that come out of rotation rather than just 1. But if she can succeed on this test, she'll get a gem, which is a wild resource, and a cannon, which at the moment doesn't do anything. So she will, yeah, let's do that. We might as well do the test, because I don't need that card for him either. So that card's going to go away in the test, and whether she fails or succeeds, it doesn't matter at this sort of moment in time. So we're going to show you how a skill works. She needs a 6 mask. So we're going to first slide this down. Okay, orange and purple don't match, so we don't fail automatically. But she needs a 6 mask. She has a 4 plus 1, which needs 5, so she does not succeed. This will go over there. Now he needs 3 swords and a barrel to do that, and this is going to give him 2 swords. So he's going to not spend anything, just recruiting mercenaries to take those swords. All right, this looks good for her because she has 3 coins. She needs 1 more sword for that. So I'm going to break into the armory and get that sword. He's also 1 sword away, which is what this is going to give me. So I'm stealing from the governor to get that. And now this is great. She's going to spend those 3 coins and that sword like this to take the explosives objective and get the first objective complete. So now her attack power is up to 6 instead of 5 for any skill checks later. Samuel will do the same on his turn, trading in those cards to activate the hideout objective, which now increases his masks to 4 from 3. And we're back to Anna. She doesn't need that barrel, but that barrel could later get her these coins from the stronghold. And in fact, I think I'm going to do that right away. She's going to rob the graves to get that barrel and then instantly use that to take those 2 coins into her inventory. Samuel's turn. That is a coin. He doesn't need it. She might. So she's going to take that coin. Sorry, he's going to take the coin, slot it into the stronghold. We are out of cards. That's the end of the first round. So we're going to shuffle those cards. We will start with Anna at the start of the next round because Samuel just finished his turn. Those cards get placed out. One of those cards now gets captured, and we slide over to round 2. And now you'll see that the purple icon here does trigger an effect. So we have to pay attention for any purple icons coming out here, but right now there aren't any. Then, Anna has a 4. We need a 6 to beat the Raiders. She could take this coin, but she already has 2 coins, and there is a coin coming potentially there. But that's free and that's not. So yeah, let's go ahead and take this card. She's taking the castaway's loot and getting a coin. Samuel does need swords. Sorry, first, that's yellow, no trigger. He does need swords, so he might as well take that, training the crew to fight. Then, blue icon, nothing happens. That does not help me currently. She needs a sword. That's not a sword. She could take the barrel because he will need a barrel eventually, but not really. She's going to try and attack him so we can get that card untucked. And to do that, we're going to slide this down. And unfortunately, those two symbols do match, so that's an auto fail. That goes away. Samuel's turn. He does need a barrel for his objective, so he'll take that, confiscating the cargo. All right, now this is a little bit unfortunate because... Oh, no, it's not. This is great. Okay. For a coin... no. She needs a barrel to get that, not a coin. She could take this to get 2 swords. Yeah, why not? It's one more sword than she needs. But, yeah, that's great. She's going to take that one. Hold on, was that purple? Sorry, that was purple before we do anything. Purple is a hook. Says we're discarding the bottom card from the scene. And I see that one's upside down, so I'm going to fix it. All right, then, as I said, she is going to take those, which is looking not great because, well, he definitely doesn't need those barrels. He could try to get really lucky on an attack because he's only at level 4. He needed 2 or higher. He doesn't need the barrels. He can spend a barrel to get 3 swords. Or a sword to get 3 coins. But realistically, I'd rather that come in here right now because she's got too many cards. Yes, so we are going to try and attack just to see if we can do it. And the way that works is we're going to shuffle these cards up and we'll reveal the top card like this. Orange doesn't match that, so we're good. And this card is a 2 plus 3 plus 1 is 6, which means we did beat him there. So we'll take that card back. And this one gets discarded because it was the top card during that, which means it is the end of the round. I'm going to shuffle up those cards again. And it sort of undoes what we just did, but it does mean we don't get a second captured card. So that card gets captured. Then, back to Anna. Oh, sorry, we're at round 3. We're looking for purple and blue, and that is blue. Blue is a hook, which again, we discard the bottom card from the deck. Anna's going to discard those cards, which gives her 1 extra sword. She's going to use that 1 extra sword to claim this coin, and then spending those to activate this to level 2, which means she's now got a 6 mask, which means basically auto success unless we get an auto fail. It's his turn. And, oof, I would love a coin right now. But that also means because we didn't change that, it is still blue, means it is discarding this bottom card again. Which means I do want him to attack. Even if he fails, it's not a problem. I don't need that card. So we are going to attack. We shuffle those cards back up again. And we look at the top card. Orange and blue do not match. 4 and 4, we definitely beat them. We'll get that. And this card is discarded. And we will shuffle up again. But we've got a lot more cards back in the deck this time, which hopefully is a good thing. And the top card again gets captured. And we're back to her. Now, I don't really want her to have that because I want him to have that. But right now, that's not going to help. So she's going to take that, recruiting the mercenaries, but she's going to put it in a stronghold to save for him. Which works out, hold on, what was the symbol on that card? Yeah, hold on, that's purple, so never mind anyway. And we should have advanced this to round 4 now. Purple says skull and crossbones. That's nothing. Anyway, so again, that does happen. She slides that in there. His turn, blue is a dagger now, which means they're capturing this top card like this. And orange does nothing. he could spend, ooh, yeah, okay. If he spends a barrel, he will get this, which gives him 2 swords and a barrel. And that's his turn. We're back to Anna. She does need a sword. Yeah, so she's just going to take that as a sword. Then Samuel is going to spend those cards to upgrade his objective to level 2. Back to Anna. She doesn't need a sword. She needs coins. She could spend a coin, but that gets her 2 barrels and a sword, which doesn't help her any. So she's going to try and attack. She's got a 6 masks already. She slides this down. They don't match, which is great. Yeah, that's great. Which means she did succeed. Those come back again. Samuel's turn. He doesn't need double barrels. And barrels seem to be fairly easy to get. So he's going to take that card, but instantly discard that card to instead take those 2 swords. So we have less cards out on the table. We do advance to the next round, round 5, shuffling our cards up again. We need to start getting some work done or we're in trouble. We got 3 more rounds left and 4 more objectives to clear. So we need at least 1 double objective on a round. 1 card does get tucked. We do have a lot of cards here. That was Samuel that ended that round, so she takes her turn. And, yeah, that doesn't really help too much for her. Oh, hold on, blue, now we're in round 5, does nothing. She could try and attack. I mean, he'd love to have that barrel, but a single barrel just to put in here and then pass to there is taking too much time, and she's got to attack anyway. So, yeah, why not? We slide that down. Whoops, that's upside down. The colors don't match. She does succeed. That goes away. This comes back to me. Now Samuel's turn. He doesn't need coins, but she does. So I'm going to take those and place those in there. Her turn is a sword. She will, hold on, green does nothing. She takes that sword. She trades that sword to get these 2 coins. Back to Samuel. He does like a sword. First off, yellow. Uh-oh, yellow is discarding the bottom card of the deck. But he will take that sword. Anna's turn. She will do this to spend all of these things to level up 1 more time. So now she gets a free barrel all the time, which means she can instantly take things from the stronghold if needed, which is great because orange triggers nothing. Samuel takes that coin and he slides it into the stronghold. So we're going to move on to the next round and capture a single card. Placing that out. This slides over to 6. Green does nothing. That was Samuel's turn. All right, then she can take a coin, or she can spend her barrel to get 2 swords and a coin. She needs a sword and a coin. He doesn't need the swords right now. So yeah, let's do that. She's spending her free barrel to take this card as 2 swords and a coin. She still needs 2 more coins to finish that. Then he doesn't need any swords. Hold on, this is yellow means. Yellow captures the top card. Anyway, this could actually be better for us. Oh, it is. All right. So now we've got this. It's blue, which means no effect currently. So he's going to take that for the barrel because he needs the barrel anyway. Oh, and again we get super lucky. until orange, no, orange is just discarding the bottom card, which is great, because she's going to take that double coin. Then blue does nothing. It's Samuel's turn. He's going to spend those cards, 3 swords and a barrel, to level up one more time. So now he has a permanent coin. Back to Anna's turn. She's going to spend her cards to level up the final round, or final level. She's finished her objective. Remember, blue is still doing nothing. It says no effect, but that's an unlock, so something's going to happen with that in future games. Then, back to Samuel. Ooh, that's really nice, because Samuel has a permanent coin. He needs 3 swords and a barrel. A coin here gets him 2 swords and a barrel. So that's the end of that round. Now, we do need to be careful, because he's already got 2 captured cards, and we're about to capture one more. Whoops, that's upside down. We slide over to round 7. And it is Anna's turn. Now, she could get that coin. Well, she can do it anyway. She doesn't need to level up at all anymore. She's really just attacking. That's a coin card. He doesn't need that. So she might as well try and attack. She's got a 6. We're at 5, 6, 7. So let's see what happens. We slide down. Colors match, so that's just a failure. But there's his 3rd sword. Hold on, green does nothing. We take that as his 3rd sword. Then yellow, bones again, no effect, at least for now. Her attacking right now is useless, except that it gets, oh no, it makes it easier for the next time. So we might as well try. He doesn't need any more cards, so we might as well use that card. Again, she's got a 6. Yellow and blue don't match. +1 is 7. She does succeed. So these come back. It's not going to matter, because if we don't win this round, it is the end of the game. Samuel is going to take his turn trading these in like that. Hold on. At the start of the turn, blue says discard the bottom card. He's now finished his objective. And now we take a Hail Mary once. Well, we can do it twice, because there's 2 cards left. Well, depending on what the next card is. No, we can't. Start of her round, blue means discard the bottom card. So she's attacking. I'm going to put these face down so I don't see what's coming out. Hold on, make sure they're all facing the right way. They are. All right, she's attacking. We just have to hope no auto fail, because she's got a 6. He's got 5 to beat. As long as I don't draw a blue card, we do just barely win the scenario. I flip the card over, and it is a green. Awesome. We managed to win on the absolute last turn of the game, which works wonderfully. Actually, it would have been one more turn. No, because that gets discarded for the battle. That is officially the last turn, but we did beat the threat on the last turn. So with that, we go back into the app, and it says when the scenario ends, select the outcome. Well, we did just barely, but we did win the first scenario. So I'm going to click victory, and it says here, update the campaign log. And I should warn you that what I'm going to be doing right now is a bit of a spoiler. So if you want to jump ahead to my thoughts on the sort of components and my thoughts on the game, click this timestamps down below. But I'm not going to do a ton here. I just want to show you what it looks like after you win one game, so you can see the kinds of things that might come out of this game. So the first thing it says is update the campaign log. On the back of that sort of round tracker, we've got this here campaign log. So I am going to be filling in the dot for scenario 1 because we win. So I'm just going to fill in that dot like that. And then it says you have a new sticker sheet. From the sleeve, take out and unlock the sticker sheet labeled S1. You'll see here in the game there is this sleeve that says stop. Inside is here is the hidden component. So from this sleeve now, I'm taking out the sticker sheet labeled S1, which luckily is the sheet right on top. And again, when we unlock something, we're going to fill in that little lock symbol. So I'm just going to color in that spot right there so that I remember I own that, but I'll just keep it outside of the sleeve in my wallet anyway. So I'm going to set that off screen just so I don't leave it on screen and spoil a ton of stuff. And it now says I have a new ability. My stronghold has a new ability that lets you buff skill checks. Take ability sticker A1 and place it on the A slot of my stronghold. So you'll see down here at the bottom of the stronghold is slot A. So I'm going to take sticker A1 and I'm adding it down here at the bottom of the stronghold. So now you can see here, I hope, that I can spend 1 cannon to buff a skill by 2, which is going to be really helpful when we need to start doing higher level skills. And then it says at the bottom of the app, again, when ready, continue your adventure to go to chapter 2. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to spoil anything more, but I will continue and do that so that I can play through the rest of the campaign before I talk to you about my feelings on the game. But while we're here, let's take a look at the components. First of all, the artwork in this game is amazingly wonderful. I don't know why I connect with it so much, but I really love the character work here. Yes, it's a fantastical sort of animals as humans kind of world, so if that bothers you, that might not be for you, but I think that's fun, and I just love the character designs in this game. It really, really shines. The colors pop. It's just really fun and a whimsical kind of setting. And again, on all of those scenes that we've been going through, I'll show you a couple here right now. Just the design, the artwork, everything just looks great. Everything looks like a world that's inhabited by these characters. I just really, really love the way that everything looks in this game. The iconography is very clear, the symbols, the colors, everything really stands out and it's very easy to understand and read. This campaign log has me excited because I'm going to be going through and completing different scenarios. It does look like there are 9 scenarios in this, at least according to the campaign log. I'm going to be tracking defeats and we're going to have some kind of score at the end. There's a ranking here for score, which makes things quite a bit of fun. Now, we're going to talk a lot more about this up top when I do talk about my thoughts on the game, but the fact that this is a legacy game and a button-shy game comes with this wallet full of lots of hidden stuff. I'll tell you there's quite a few more sheets in here that aren't the first sticker set I pulled out. And that first sticker set I pulled out, real quickly, is a pretty big sticker set, and I used one little small sticker. So there's a ton of content in here that I'm very excited to see more of. Also, I should mention that sticker is not just a paper sticker. It's a sort of plasticky vinyl kind of sticker that definitely feels like it's going to hold up pretty well. I'm excited because that's very nice quality component as well. I guess finally, well, real quickly, the rule books. Button Shy usually comes with one fold-out rule book. You have seen already that the campaign is online, accessible through that QR code, but this also does come with a second rule book or booklet that explains all of sort of the individual actions in the game, whereas the main rulebook just sort of gives you the overview of how the game plays out. I'm very happy with what's here. Last thing, of course, with the Button Shy game is the wallet. This is another one of those sort of brown, speckledy look kind of wallets, which again is not generally my favorite, but this is a pirate game. This does look leather. That sort of fits the theming, so it's a wise choice. I do like the bold font used for this Wildtails logo. The Pirate Legacy font here looks very much like an old sort of pirate style movie font kind of thing. So everything fits really nicely. And of course, for me, seeing Dustin Dobson and Milan Zivkovic's name on a wallet always makes me smile because I've been a really big fan of their work. We'll talk more about that again at the end, but I just wanted to point that out because these designers are definitely designers I've got my eye on. All right, so with all that said, meet me back up top. It might be a different me. I might have different sleeves on because I have to go and now play the rest of this campaign. I will come back after I finish the campaign and share my thoughts on not just how the game plays, but how the campaign unfolds. Of course, avoiding any spoilers where possible. But meet me back up top and I'll let you know everything I have to say about this game. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. I did make a few small mistakes in there, but everything that I found while I was editing has subtitles down below, and it didn't really change the way that the game plays, so you still should have gotten a good idea of how the game plays out. And I'm sorry if I did spoil anything. I hope that you skipped past the spoilers if you didn't want to be spoiled. But with all that said, let's get into how I feel about the game. I have now played through the full 9-scenario campaign. I've seen all the unlocks. I've seen the end game condition or the end game stuff. So let's talk about how I feel about the game. First off, the initial question that I asked myself was, is it possible for anybody really, but these designers in particular, to be able to make a legacy game that feels like a legacy game with only 18 cards? And I'm going to start there because I have to say absolutely 2 thumbs up. They nailed this as far as the legacy concept goes. For those of you who don't know what a legacy game is a game that every time you play the game, some sort of permanent changes are happening either to the components themselves or to the rules of the game, so that every time the game is sort of growing and changing based on the things that you've done in previous games. And that's definitely happening here. Every time you win the game, you're adding stickers to cards, you're making decisions within the story in the app, you're adding new rules, changing things up as you move forward. There wasn't any destructive element in this, which is nice because it's only 18 cards. So if I'm cutting something up and throwing something away, that's kind of a shame because there aren't that many components to start with. But let's talk a little bit about how this works. I don't want to give any real spoilers, so I'm not going to talk about what they do. But you saw at the end of this video, the end of this playthrough, I did add a sticker to a card. And most of the changes in this game were stickers added to cards, but those stickers were changing abilities that the characters had, changing up other cards in the game, changing up the rules of the game to increase things and change things and introduce new concepts and a little bit of new mechanisms moving through the game. But ultimately the core of the game is there the whole time. But again, this is an online website sort of scenario campaign that you're going on at the start of every scenario, finding out how the scenario starts up or sets up, and reading a little bit of a story that explains what is happening in this world with the scenario that you're playing. And I really do enjoy the stories that were coming out of this game. It did tell a nice little narrative through the game with characters that were fun to follow through the game. And ultimately, there were actually some choices at some places that did provide a little bit of a branch. It couldn't be a real branch because every scenario starts the same way every time, because the app is set up such that you can click a button to go straight to that scenario's page, because this isn't something that's going to sort of remember your progress through, because you're not logging in, it doesn't really know who you are. So if you come back later, you are going to have the ability to start a scenario. So every scenario starts off the same way, but often at the end of scenarios, you're given choices, and then later on in other scenarios, it'll sort of reference those choices and ask you to select things based on previous choices. So there is a little bit of a branching narrative here. There are some different things that you get. You do get some choices about the upgrades or the changes that happen as you're moving through the game. And I really did enjoy how all of that played out. But what about the core mechanism? Because even if this legacy piece is fun, if I don't enjoy the core mechanism, the game really isn't worth playing through the entire campaign. And this is where I've got a little bit of a mixed bag, because this game ultimately didn't really wow me all the way through. And let me explain what that means. Because after this first game that I just showed you, this playthrough, not really first game because this was the 3rd or 4th time that I'd played the game, but after this playthrough, I was very, very, very keyed in on this game, and I enjoyed everything that I was seeing, right? This idea of sort of resource management, taking cards as resources, manipulating those cards, storing them, swapping them, playing with those cards to hit certain conditions, to win those objectives or to advance those objectives until you've done that enough. Meanwhile, keeping an eye on the threat the whole time, not allowing them to capture so many cards to make the end game trigger early, fighting them to get cards back, making sure that you have cards in your deck every round as you're shuffling and building that deck that you're getting your cards or your resources from, is a very interesting mechanism, and it plays very, very well, right? This idea that the top card has an icon or a color on it that triggers certain abilities from the threat that they're doing to you is a very interesting one. The idea that we're growing characters to use abilities to help manipulate these cards and play with these cards in ways that we need to maybe change up the resources we have or save certain resources to use them to get different resources later. And there's a really cool manipulation of resources, this management kind of puzzle in this game, and I do really enjoy that core conceit. But as I get further into the game, and specifically this was scenario 4, 7, and then finally the ultimate one, number 9, I hit these walls where it took me many plays. You're allowed to fail 3 times as far as checking off on your card, and every time you fail, you fill out one of those blocks. But after you fail 3 times, you're not checking off those blocks anymore, but you have to keep playing that scenario until you win to move on to the next scenario. And that's where things got tricky, because those 3 scenarios in particular took me sometimes 5, 6, 7 tries to get through just that scenario. And when I have 3 lost boxes for a set of 2 to 3 scenarios, it wasn't those 2 to 3 scenarios, it was always one scenario in that window that was crushing me over and over again. And it didn't seem to matter when I changed my strategy how well I did. A lot of it was the randomness of the cards that were coming out, and if the cards came out in the right order or at the right time for what I needed them to do, then I did well. And if not, I just kept getting crushed. And every time I lost, it just made it feel more and more difficult or more and more work to get through the game. Now, once I got to the next scenario and things got a little bit easier and I was playing through and rushing through again and really getting some good stuff done, it did start to feel good again. And all along the way, the story and the unlockables and the legacy piece kept pushing me because I did want to see more. But ultimately, I kept hitting these walls that every couple scenarios that were like, I got to push to get through this. But how much do I want to keep pushing, right? And I'm going to tell you this, ultimately scenario 9, after losing so many times, I sort of fudged things a little bit so that I could win the final scenario and complete this game. So for me, it was some work to get through this. This is not a game that I'm going to buy the reset pack to get through again, unfortunately. But there is a lot here. There is a good game in here. It's just not for me, right? That resource management piece is really cool. The idea of adding abilities to your characters to make them grow and let them manipulate the resources in new ways as you're going through the legacy is really cool. The different way the threats have different colors, or those different markers in different places on their card, means different colors on your card are going to trigger different of those abilities from the threat. Some of them are going to be capturing lots of cards, some of them are going to be making you get rid of lots of cards, and things like that. So each threat does feel unique. It just happens that some of them really hit me hard, and I think ultimately I'm just not very good at this game. There are certainly things in this game that probably I'm missing, certain tactics, certain strategies. I think this game requires a lot of risk management because you do have to sort of shoot for those skill checks to try and get some more of those gems that you can use as wild resources. You do have to sort of take risks to attack the threat to get some of those cards back, but sometimes it's worth letting them hold on to the cards so you can get more stuff done with the cards that you have before you attack them and get a bunch of stuff back all at once. The problem is, the longer you wait to attack them to get all those cards back, the more difficult it is to pass that skill check. And there are other things that you'll get throughout the game that do help with those skill checks. So I think it's just ultimately a good planning, a good strategic plan of how to take the best risks, when to take those risks, which cards and which abilities to sort of level up and pile up on each other, how to use the objectives to sort of strengthen your characters within a certain scenario. And all of that stuff is interesting, but I just wasn't very good at it. So I don't want to say that this is a bad game, because it's not by any means. The legacy piece is really cool. The artwork, as I showed you, is really cool. There's just a whole lot of fun here. It just didn't work for me because I just don't feel like I had the right strategic brain or strategic thinking pattern to figure out the pieces and to figure out the sort of patterns and how this game works and how all the abilities intertwine to best play this game. And ultimately, when I hit those harder scenarios and they sort of fought back and hit me real hard, I just struggled, and it wasn't fun to struggle that many times. It might be nice in something like this to see that after that third loss, or maybe after a fourth or fifth loss, there is a sort of lose and move on kind of thing instead of having to keep repeating the same scenario. Because ultimately, if I hadn't been so frustrated that I was losing so much, I may have enjoyed the overall experience a lot more. This is still one that I would recommend you try out if it looks like something you'd enjoy from the playthrough that you just watched. Just understand that this is not an easy game. There might be some really challenging spots that you kind of have to slog through. And if you're willing to do that, there is still a lot of nice and a lot of good and a lot worth checking out in this game. So don't let me scare you away if this is something that you still feel like you'd be interested in, because I know there are a lot of people who love this game, and I know that there's still a lot of stuff going on in this game that I do also enjoy. I hope this video was helpful for you. If you enjoyed this video, as always, I ask you please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon below, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks.